I have Melissa Leone with me today from Two Cents Consulting, and we are going to, right as we head into the holidays, talk about our finances, which is probably, I'd say, probably the most important time we really talk about our finances because we're really ending the year. But most importantly, we're starting the year. So if for any reason you're ending the year not where you want to be, the good news is you can take hold in 2021, which is probably, I'm going to guess, where all of us really want to really recharge our batteries. We have a lot to talk about. I asked you offline what you want to talk about, and we probably have an hour here, but we don't have an hour. So give us, I'll let you give me a little bit of a background. You've been doing this for uh, just a little bit of time here, over 20 years. So give me your
Yeah.
background. And by the way, for all you Michigan people, because people watch from all over, she's sitting right now in Phoenix. So at 20 degrees, as I said to her, I'm like sitting here in my little Sherpa and leather. She's in Phoenix.
I'm
So
in
we can
Phoenix. It's nice and warm.
we can all be a little jealous too. So welcome. Thanks for
Well,
spending some time
thank
with
you.
us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here. As you mentioned, I've been in the finance industry for about 20 years, a little over. I started my finance career as a bank teller when I was 16 and worked through the bank at Wells Fargo Bank for 7 years. They put me through college. So I have a good upbringing of financial background from a very young age.
Hmm.
From there, I joined a luxury hospitality company where I was climbed the ladder through finance of, payroll, AP, all the way up through controller, financial controller, and then moved to their corporate offices where I helped manage large scale finance projects around the globe. And I've been doing that. I was with them for 16 years and now have joined a IBM as a project manager and executive through some of their big scale projects. So I do a lot and I've seen a lot
Yeah.
and been able to help people with a lot of different projects. And a little over 3 years ago, I started a consulting business and officially made it an LLC earlier this year, just before the pandemic started. Actually, I think I recorded like February 24th. So it was right on the line.
Yeah, exactly.
um, right on the line. But my consulting company is called Two Cents, Sense. So it is all about making sense of business. We specifically focus on time and money and helping people really focus in on how to, save time, save money, and account for both in
Hmm.
their busy lives.
Well,
I
and I think that's so important because the truth is that time, we say time is money. And I think that's true in any industry, but I don't know that people really like follow that rule. We spend a lot of time doing things that we shouldn't. We spend a lot of time on social media. We spend a lot of time doing tasks that we probably could maybe have somebody else do. And I'm sure you see this all the time.
I do. It's 100% of what I do for IBM is help businesses, large scale businesses,
Hmm.
outsource their things that they're not specialized in and do it in a third party provider. What I help small and medium sized businesses with is figure out what those things are that they need to outsource. For example, QuickBooks. A lot of small business owners have QuickBooks, but they don't really understand how to use it and optimize it. So they spend hours trying to figure out how to make QuickBooks work, where they could find a consulting company like mine to help them with it. Or I know business owners who try to figure out search engine optimization and build their own websites, and they're not experts in it. So they spend hours and hours trying to
Hours.
do this. And meanwhile, you could be out doing what you actually enjoy, and figuring that out. I'm a mother of three. I have a 5, 7, and a 9-year-old. And at every stage of our life, from when we got married to when we first had a puppy to 1 kid, 2 kid, 3 kid, you always feel busy. And it doesn't, it's kind of like you always live within your paycheck. People are always living within the means of what they're exposed to. And what I've gotten very proficient at over the years is finding ways to make things faster, make things better, save myself some time, save myself some money, so that I can do the things I want to do, so that I can put my kids in sport camps, so that I can, spend more time doing the consulting business that I love to do. I outsourced cleaning my home. I mean, you start to offset things. And it's been a real passion of mine and a pleasure through 2020, to be honest, to help small businesses do that.
I think it's, I agree with you. I will say I'm a bad example of it until I started doing it. And now I'm a testimonial to it, because as a business owner who is by themselves and was doing everything, and then, but also wanting to increase the things that I do, I had so many friends and colleagues say, well, why are you doing that by yourself? Like, why not outsource that? Why not have somebody else help you? Why don't you have an intern? Why don't, and I was like, well, I'm type A and I like to do things on my own. And, it's hard to release.
It is.
And I would imagine that you probably have the philosophy of at least give up one thing. Start, by, give up your invoicing, like hand that over, or hand something over. And you're right. I mean, some of us do have someone who comes in and cleans their home. I mean, you allow those kinds of things to happen, so you free up certain parts of your day.
Yeah.
And that feels good. And so, I did start allowing, and I have a virtual team who put up with me, as I like to say, and, some of the craziness, and they get me, but it's amazing because I still have control of the things I want to have control over. But little by little, I am like, okay, I'll let them do that. And then I do have much more time to do the things I should be focusing on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the other thing that I like that you said is that, there are things in our own day, such as finance, which is huge, that so many of us don't have the expertise. And you hit on some of the other things like that cover in my world. People spend a lot of time trying to learn about like SEO or marketing or finances. I mean, I know nothing about finances. You could ask my very close friend, my CPA, and you could ask my husband, who they gave up on.
I know nothing about marketing, so we're in the same boat. One thing I do find out is that a lot of people confuse CPA with financial controller or with CFO, because a CPA, by and large, is going to take your records and file your taxes, where my role is not to file taxes. My role is to keep your books clean and in order, so that I'll give you a perfect example.
And thank you. And absolutely thank you for clarifying that, because my CPA would appreciate that whenever I ask them, and he's like, I don't want to do, yeah.
They're totally different things. And when people hear accountant, they hear taxes, but it's really about keeping your books in line. And I have several clients who've come to me over the course of this year when the payroll protection program and the EDIL programs from the government came out. Businesses had to quickly figure out how much money they spend on salaries, wages, healthcare, those types of things. And many of them didn't know. They would just provide their payroll numbers, but that's not the right number, because that includes employee deductions and other things. And spend a lot of time.
And things
it does. There's a lot involved there. And a lot of people didn't know what they didn't know, before that came about. And so it's been really quite interesting to see how many small business owners just don't totally understand how to allocate expenses, or allocate revenue, even in some cases, to the right categories so that when you need it, you have it in a moment's notice.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that part up because I think for most small businesses this year, rightfully so, they had no idea how to handle PP, the loans, the grants, the things, or how to access it, how to find it, then what to do. I went through that all, just laying it out there. With my husband. And to boot that he is completely technology illiterate. God love him. He will never see this, thank God. So those watching, please don't share, but he's not on social media, but he needed the help, and then he needed it from a technology standpoint. So, and it's frustrating, and so you need to know where to go to get help. And so, thank God he had financial people helping him. And then I, was able to help him, with the application. But even for me, familiar enough with it, it's scary. And, you don't want to make those mistakes. And so you want the experts, and I always say, go to an expert. It's worth the time. And it's worth the money.
I couldn't
because
agree more.
It's not worth the mistakes, because that isn't worth the time.
Yeah, I've been called super mom quite a bit in my career, and I reject the term because I don't have superpowers. But what I am is efficient. In fact, I'm writing a book called Efficiency Bitch, and it is
I love it.
It is a term of endearment that my mother and my sister and I have been calling each other for 30 years. But it is all about,
I think people call that behind my back, but they should probably call that
wear it with pride. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm writing a book called Efficiency Bitch, and it's all about how to do what you love and get it all done, even the stuff you don't love, and moving things to different help. There are people who love to do different things. I love to play with people's finances. Some people hate that. There are some people who love social media. I hate that, right? So there's just all these different things that we can do to have it all, to do it all, to be it all. And it doesn't take any superpower. It just takes a little organization and a little dedication to finding those efficient ways and solving those problems.
Well, I do love that, because the truth is, I mean, it's a corny, maybe it's become corny to say, but it takes a village. And, or maybe it's overused, but the truth of the matter is, when you use it, it's very true. And you and I talked about this, women in business, I think, truly know how to ask for help. And so Efficiency Bitch, I might just get a plaque over here. Oh my God.
It is absolutely.
I'm writing that down.
I've been doing a lot of research.
I am writing that down.
I've been doing a lot of research for my book, and the word bitch has been used for people who are outside of their gender norms, right? It started during women's suffrage, and then it continued on through all of the different feminist waves over time. Conversely, it's used for men who are softer or more cowardly, right? They'll use it as an insult in that direction. And I refuse both. It's not an insult. It's okay to live outside of the old gender norms and continue on through who you want to be and get it done. So that's the premise of it. And we're working through trademarks and getting all the books set up, and I'm really excited.
I love it. So when you get the book done, I want you to come back and we'll talk about it. But tell me what's in the book. Like what's happening in the book?
There's several different things. One main area that I'm going to focus on is how to be a working mom, how to be a working parent. Forget the mom part. Be a working parent, because families look different, right? All around the planet. And it's really difficult. My husband has a full-time career. I have 2 full-time careers with my consulting business and my day job. And I want to do it all. That's my hobby. I enjoy it. I enjoy helping businesses. So it's going to be a lot of, how do you get your home efficient? How do you get organized? how do you find the right resources to help you? How do you
Mm-hmm.
find the right vendors, if you will, or contractors to help you do different things? It will be some parts of child rearing, not a lot. I mean, I have a lot of expertise in that area, but there's certain things you can do with your kids in order to make things a little bit more
Sure.
efficient, you know, in the
Sure.
mornings or after school or those types of things. And then in business. And I really try to write it in a way that even if you don't own a small business, you could apply that to your household business.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've always looked at my personal financials as a profit and loss statement. I always have. And what's our income? What's our expenses? What's our cash flow look like? How much are we putting into savings? How much are we spending? And showing people how you can look at both in the same manner and really be able to set the road up for success. You know, we recently wrote a blog about, and the idea came from my mother-in-law, as a matter of fact, on how to look at money. And it's all about like how you drive a car. You're looking behind you sometimes, you're looking right in front of you sometimes, and sometimes you're looking way in front of you. And sometimes you need GPS and, you know, just kind of all the different angles that you need to look at money, and you need to look at the way you spend it. So
I
that's going
love
to be
that.
a lot in the book too.
I love that. Now you have another book as well.
Yeah, I can't stop. I'm
So
telling you,
apparently you're not stopping. Apparently you're really busy. Now what's that book gonna be?
that book is about, it's more of my mother side, about teaching your children about money. You know,
Okay.
the things that most adults today would tell you that they're uncomfortable talking about with their kids are typically sex and money. And I'm not going to talk about sex, but I will teach adults how to teach their kids about money. You know, so often our parents didn't know how to teach us. So then we
Mm-hmm.
didn't learn, and we had to learn the hard way. Um, so this book's going to be all about storytelling, and it's written from different characters who go through different things. You know, maybe one, for example, starts with a lot of debt coming out of school and 30 years later is still in that debt. What can she
Oh.
teach her
Mm-hmm.
children about debt? Others are about credit cards, you know, about bankruptcy, all the different things that many adults have fallen into those traps, and how to explain to your children, even if you're not comfortable talking about your own personal stuff, you have a story of an example to give your kids on how to work through it. So there'll be, you know, different elements. I have it, my oldest is 9. We talk about money all the time. We just bought a
Yeah.
new house in June. I explained the entire mortgage process to her. Is she going to remember every detail?
No,
No,
but she's
but
gonna remember
it's
some.
exposure.
Yeah. So did your mom work when you were growing up?
She did, yes.
And
My mom
and
was a police officer,
oh
an
wow.
elementary school teacher, and then a fraud investigator. So she had multiple careers.
Amazing.
Yeah, she was pretty awesome. And you know, her generation was the first to work.
Sure.
Her mother didn't work.
Yeah.
So she was the first generation in that second wave of feminism in the 60s and
Mm-hmm.
70s to really push through some of those boundaries
Mm-hmm.
and get women in the workplace.
Because it seems like you have such a strong basis of work, and so I wondered if it came from your mom, and but
Yeah.
I love that, and great, and so amazing, like from your mom, because she's also then like, you know, such a great grandmother, and showing that. And none of us are perfect. I always say we have wonderful parenting moments, but that's the way it goes, you know. I mean, the truth is I was always a working mom, and you know, I love that for my kids. You
Mm-hmm.
know, nothing perfect about it. I made plenty of mistakes, but you know, I love that my kids, especially during this pandemic, have really pushed through, and they're going to have their own stories to tell through this. But you know, they're amazing, and have their own work ethic. But I think it also comes very much through my mom, my mother-in-law, who worked. And you know, I think that's the generations we want to, you know, be raising. um,
Mm-hmm.
but I also think there is a little lapse too, in not so much that in our house we talk about finances, but also there is a bit of sometimes entitlement or different ways we talk about finances. So I think it's really important that these kids learn about finances and student loans and first jobs and things like that. So
Yeah.
I think it's important that kids learn, early on how to have a first job, an allowance, saving money.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, you have to know what questions to ask, right? Like, if you don't teach your kids what questions to ask, they're not going to know until it's too late.
mhm.
One of the things that we follow in our house with our children is it's a Dave Ramsey philosophy, actually, but it's give, save, spend. So we teach our kids with their chore money, and they have to do chores just to live here,
Mhm.
but they also have special jobs that they can do to give them a little bit of money over time. And they have to take that $5 and put $2 in their spend for candy, $2 in their save for the skateboard she wants, and $1 in the give, in order
To
to
get
to contribute to community and to, um, well, however she sees fit, right? So
right.
we're doing that now, even with my 5-year-old, and it will evolve for them over time, and it will mean
Hmm.
different things to them at different phases of their life. But we're starting those conversations now so that they know when to ask the
Right.
next question.
And I love that because different at different stages of their life and their ages, those conversations evolve and have, a 5-year-old's going to have a different conversation than a 9-year-old, than the
Yes.
20-year-old one day.
Yes.
So I love that. So I was pretty sure that I could talk to you for an hour, but, and and so we have to cut it short. People can find you at Melissa at 2cents, SENSE, people, sense consulting.com. And I do want you to come back. Come back as soon as the book is out. I say the two names of the book titles again, because they're
Efficiency bitch. And
and
I haven't settled on my other
oh,
title, but it will
okay.
be something around raising rich kids or how to raise rich kids, something around that kind of concept. I
And I
do
love
have a free gift if your audience would be interested. I can send you the link, but it really walks people through how to find the right tasks in their own life to outsource. Look like how to schedule what your day looks like, what you hate to do, and then how to find the right vendor to go
That's
for. So
perfect. Let's
I
send
can
it
I
to
can
me
send
and
you
then
that.
we'll put it up so people can definitely grab hold of that free gift. I think that's wonderful. As we said, we're ending fourth quarter. People are, it's a tough time, but 2021 is, I like to believe it's not going to start off rosy and champagne. We're all gonna have champagne on January 1st. We need to celebrate, but it's not going to switch over and things are going to be perfect, but we're going to head towards that direction. And but we can only head towards that direction by making really good sense, people. So Melissa at 2centsconsulting.com. Follow my Facebook post today, and we'll put that free gift up there so
Awesome.
everybody can really learn more about the consulting and things that Melissa offers. Enjoy. Have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you. You too.
It's so great to talk to you, but I definitely, we'll talk again.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right. Have a great day.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.